Hello again. I am Bane and I'm on an adventure. I am in northeastern Tennessee and I'm going to be riding around the Cumberland Plateau, which is going to take me up into Kentucky and then back down into Tennessee. I'm going to say this is my first bike packing trip. Big story behind this trip I'll get to later. Pretty massive. When I first started biking 2 years ago, it's been, just over 2 years ago, like 2 years, a couple months. I asked everybody, what's the difference between bike touring and bike packing? Because I didn't have a clue. And to be honest, to this day, I don't think people's given a good answer of it. And I have decided I have one. And it's not how you pack your bags on your bike. It's the terrain that you're in. If you can bike your route on 38mm road tires without any issue, you're bike touring. But if you're out off the road on the beaten path where those 38s aren't going to take you, and you got some fat mountain bike tires, then you're probably bike packing. Anyways, like and subscribe, follow along. I'm gonna get this trip going, and I'll explain what's going on and what I'm doing as we go. There's some blabbing to be done. On this impromptu bike packing adventure. Very impromptu. I just come up with this idea. In fact, I just got this bicycle 2 days ago. On we go. Single track is a whole different animal out here. So I am in Tennessee currently in the Cumberland Plateau area. I am doing a route, I guess backpacking.com calls it the No Business Loop. I'm like 7 miles in. I'm crossing this gravel road. I just came off a single track. I've been videoing and that takes a while. I got about 6 or 7 miles in an hour and a half. And this next section of single track runs along a gravel road, and I'm contemplating hitting this gravel road and knocking out some of the single track. I was hoping to get 40 miles in today, but I didn't start till noon. And if I'm going at this pace, I'm probably not getting 40 miles in. It's listed as 103 miles and only 20% of that single track, which, you know, that make like 20 miles of single track, but I've already gone at least 5 or 6 miles of single track. It says 88% unpaved, so that's probably like 15 miles on paved roads, so most of it being on gravel roads. Anyways, for those of you that haven't already heard, Priority Bikes shot me an email and basically asked me if I wanted one of their bikes. And at first I thought I was getting scammed. I'm like, these guys really gonna message me trying to sell me a bike? Or I just thought I was, you know, getting hacked. But after messaging back and forth, they sent me a bicycle for free. Now, when I say they sent me a bicycle for free, I mean there's no strings attached. I don't have to give a positive review. I don't even have to ride it. I could have sold it. I didn't do that, obviously. I wouldn't do that because I can't afford bikes. But they give me this bike. Like, you know, they caught one of my videos. Someone in the shop caught one of my videos and liked it, started watching it, and my channel started circulating around their shop or something. So they contacted me, sent me a bicycle. Now, I will say shipping is insanely fast. We talked on Wednesday. By Friday, the bike was at my house. 2 days, and I got the bike. I got it loaded up, and I'm out riding it. I literally loaded this thing up and just jumped on it. This is the test ride. It's probably real dumb. Probably dumb to do this as a test ride, but now that I've been looking at other routes, especially like in Colorado and out west, at a lot of the backpacking, at a lot of the bike packing routes, I realized this West Virginia trip I did probably was more bike touring and less bike packing. And that's because really the only part of the route that was single track ended up being overgrown and I shouldn't have been on it anyways. And everything else was rail trail or gravel road and didn't really require a mountain bike. So this is kind of like my first official bike packing route. because you certainly couldn't do what I'm doing today on my dang Trek 520. More to come, but just so y'all know that I haven't sold out, the first thing I'm going to say about this bike is I hate the grips. Now, probably trying to save money. To be fair, people probably replace grips anyways, like grips are a personal thing, but the grips they send on this bike are trash. So I took them and threw them away. Well, I tossed them in the box. I don't throw anything away. But I took them off and I rigged up another set of grips I had on an old mountain bike. Actually, my very first mountain bike. So these wasn't made for this. I had to cut these off to get them to fit with these shift grips. I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about these shift grips either, but it works. If you don't know, this thing ain't got no chain. It's got a belt. And there's no external gears. All the gearing's inside is inside this box. It's like a Gates pinion gear box or something. So I'd like to say so far no problems, but no problems with the bike. It's been user errors. The must have worked loose because my belt got loose and was slipping. But luckily I noticed it was slipping and I tightened it back up. They got this little app where the app listens to the sound and you flick the belt like you would a guitar or whatever, and it listens to it, and that's how you know what the tension is. Anyways, I'm blabbing and I need to get moving. Oh no. Ugh. I hope I'm on the right trail. I want a dropper post real bad. Oh, behind the seat. I guess I wanted to test. This section I'm on is a good test. I'd like to have a dropper post. A dropper post, for you that don't know, allows your bike seat to drop down without getting off the bike while you're moving. That way you can lean back in the bike more when you're going down a steep hill or steep rocks, so you don't roll over the handlebars. I need one. that's better. Oh no. I think you can get across it. Oh, I messed up it badly. That's deep. Over the ankles. Probably another way to tell that you're bike packing and not bike touring is that there's no access to water and you got to drink water from creeks. So I'm filtering water out of, I guess this is probably Laurel Fork Creek. I didn't look at the map. Drink up. All right, so I'm kind of digging the gravel. I'm kind of digging the gravel forest roads. I just rolled off of the Sheltowee Trace, a section that allows horses that goes down to the creek and back up, and it's pretty brutal. I had to push the bike all the way up. Big loose stone, soft sand. I don't know. Somebody could probably ride it, but I can't. Jarrett Creek hiking. Jarrett Creek trailhead. I guess I'm at the trailhead here. So this route is 100 miles, and they've got it listed as 3 days. And I probably bit off more than I can chew. I started about noon today. It's Sunday, and I got today, Monday, and Tuesday. Kind of thinking I can't do this whole loop, so I may adjust it, see what I can do. Probably be okay if it was all gravel road, but these horse trails, man, are they taking some time. Anyways, stick around. I'll get to camp. I got my hammock set up with me this time. I'll get to camp, set up camp, talk about this bike. On we go. About 13 miles in, it is lunchtime. I don't know if y'all saw that. I just saw a wolf. A wolf was just down here in this creek. That was not a fox. I'm at Picket State Park Campground. I'm only like 18 miles in for the day. What time is it? It's 5:50. I've gone less than 20 miles. I'm like 18 miles in, I think. I was real tempted. I'm real tempted to stop here and camp. The campground's closed apparently, but that don't mean I can't camp here. But if I keep going, obviously the further I go today, the less I have to do the next 2 days. I really hate to keep going. There's another campground, but I can't tell how far away it is. I think it's over 20 miles away. And I'm pretty certain I can't push another 20 miles. I mean, I could have, if it's all gravel road, I could bike in the dark. I'm gonna eat some snacks and then get out of here. I'm gonna keep going. I've got camp set up and I ate already. Getting ready to lay down, charging some batteries. Ended up hitting 35 miles. I don't know what the elevation gain was, but I went up 2 of the big hills that I know I have to do. Pretty beat. It's been all gravel, some Forest Service roads, and a little bit of asphalt going up one of the hills. I am on top of the ridge, and I don't have much water. It's about right here. Too late to really discuss this bike any. Tomorrow should be a earlier day. 35 miles in. I was really wondering if I was gonna be able to do this or not. The first like 7 to 10 miles was like a crap horse trail. You guys saw what I was doing. That took forever. If it sticks to these Forest Service roads, I should be able to clear half of this tomorrow. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Maybe I'll break this camp down in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It is day 2 on the no business loop on the Cumberland Plateau. Yesterday, going through these horse trails, I kind of figured, yeah, I got no business being here. So, I got to camp last night. It was like 9 o'clock. It was dark when I got there. I was trying to find a nice place to camp with water. The last creek crossing I found had like the cattle gates on it. Like the fence to keep cattle from crossing. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't drink this water, because it's flowing down out of a cattle field. Maybe it's fine, I don't know, but I've heard people say not to. So I kept going. On the other side of the creek, you start climbing the ridge immediately. It's like 2 or 3 miles uphill on a paved road. And eventually it got dark and the path left the paved road back onto these Forest Service roads, and I found a place to camp at the head of a trailhead. Only 2 vehicles passed last night, and I'm pretty sure they was like 4-wheel driving type stuff. But it was extremely loud with the bugs. Louder than is comfortable. So I went to sleep last night almost out of water. I'm up this morning with about 20 ounces of water. And I'm not sure where the next water is at. I ain't gonna be dropping off the ridge, it looks like, in about 5 miles. So I hope to find water. There's no towns, there's no place to resupply, no stores. So this was a very impromptu trip. I had no intentions of doing this. Even a couple days ago. Someone at Priority Bikes contacted me. Said they've been watching my videos and they like it, they like what I'm doing, and they wanted to send me a bike. Now, I was real skeptical. I thought either one, they're trying to sell me a bike, or 2, they're trying to scam me. I do like the content that I put out. I think it's on par with much larger pages, much larger channels. But I might be biased. Nonetheless, I don't have that many subscribers when it comes to promoting stuff. At least that's what I thought. So this fella in marketing, I'm not going to toss his name out there. They're low key. He said someone has been watching my channel there at Priority and started spreading it around. So my content is circulating. And they sent me a bicycle free. Now, there was no agreement. There was no agreement to ride the bike. There was no agreement to do a review on the bike. Nothing like that at all. Obviously, they'd like to see Bane on a Bruzer. So I'm out here on a Priority bike. And I'm pretty blunt. You guys know I'm pretty blunt with how I feel about things. Anybody that's been watching has heard me gripe about something. So, the first thing I noticed was how bad the grips are. The grips suck. That is, the grips that come on the bike. But, in defense of the choice of using those grips, I think grips are like a personal thing. And people probably change them out no matter what you put on them. I now have 3 other bikes. And not one of those bikes has got the original grips on them. So it makes sense to put cheap grips on the bike because people are going to change them anyways. You know, keep the cost down. That's my assumption as to why they was on here. Because people are going to change them anyways, and there's no reason to put more money on the price tag. Now, I switched these grips out immediately. I didn't have time to go buy any, so I took some off the old mountain bike that I put on it for my first 2 trips when I was bike touring, and I cut them to fit. They probably won't stay on here, but I wasn't riding with the other grips at all. Another thing, this has got like a grip shifter that you spin instead of like the button you push or the trigger you pull or whatever. And at first I didn't like it, but after figuring out how it shifts, it's not hard to figure out how it shifts. I'm dumb. So you can shift this bike without pedaling, and you can shift multiple gears, so you can go from like 10 down to 1 if you want at the same time without pedaling. I kind of like that. I often stop to film and forget to shift back down, and then I'm stuck either trying to take off in a harder gear, which is probably putting due stress on the bike, or like, you know, picking the rear wheel up trying to pedal it and shift. With this, I can stop and shift it and keep going. Now, when I first got the bike, I checked the belt tension. Belt tension is a thing on this bike. There's no chain, there's a belt. The tension was too tight, it seemed, according to the little app and some YouTube video that Priority put out. So I tried adjusting the belt. Wasn't difficult at all, but I guess in the process I didn't tighten the bolts back up well enough. And yesterday, when I was putting a lot of torque on the pedals, like going up a hill, I'd get a clang, or a clang or a pop, and eventually I stopped to check it out and realized the tension was gone. So I had to adjust the tension. I'll be honest, it was super easy to adjust the tension. After knowing how to do it, it wasn't nearly the pain that I thought it was going to be on the side of the trail, moving as slow as I already was. So, I don't think I've had the bike long enough yet for one of the real benefits, and that's the lack of cleaning and lubing a chain. You just hose this thing down. Now, they list this as well on their website or on a video or something. On pavement, it seems sluggish. And that's because it's got 2.6-inch tires. At least I assume that's why it feels sluggish. I may end up dropping the tire size down. I'm pretty sure they put fat tires on here to smooth out the ride, because this has a rigid fork and no shock. And one of the things I realized when I did my West Virginia trip on the mountain bike with a fork shock, I didn't need the shocks on the front of the bike for what I did. And I'd have been better off with a rigid fork with mounting points on it, because I had to buy stuff specifically to mount onto the fork. Also, you got to be cautious on a front shock fork how much weight you put on it. Like, you can't just load it up if you want. So this has a rigid fork with, I believe, 3 different mounting points on it. On top of that, this thing has mounting points all over it. I think it said 23 mounting points. They actually hooked me up with a frame bag too, which I don't think was in their original plan. So I'm like, look, if I'm gonna get this bike, I gotta take it out on an adventure, and I'm gonna need a frame bag that fits the dang thing. So they sent me a frame bag. It is a full frame bag. It fills up the entire frame of the bike. I don't know if it's because of the geometry of the bike, the giant tires, or how I have the bike packed. It feels quite stable, even on these gravel roads. And I do like that, because gravel roads scare me. Anyways, it looks like I'm headed down the ridge now, so it's time to get off of here. Chunky gravel. Chunky and loose. I am at the Bell Farm Horse Camp. It's like about 9 miles from where I camped at. Took me an hour to get here. It's a really nice spot. There's lots of cleared out trees. I could have hung my hammock. Plenty of places for tents. They got picnic tables and there's a pit potty. It's close to the creek. I don't know what creek. I walked down to the creek and got some water. So I got my water refilled and I'm gonna have breakfast, which is my normal oatmeal. I'm gonna have me some caffeine. That didn't last long. Get to feeling good, get to rolling up out of here. Yesterday I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this loop after hitting a lot of it's gravel, and I am still moving slow, but it ain't like the horse trails I was on. So we'll see. If I run into a bunch of them, I'm in trouble. I think the route is listed as like 105, just over 100 miles. So I still got 55 or 60 miles from here to the end. I don't know how much of it is gravel, how much is single track. I think there's still like at least 15 or 20 miles of single track. And I'm pretty slow on the single track, but the single track can be fun. Some of these trails that are like horse trails, I don't like at all, and that's not new. Back when I was mainly hiking, I tried to avoid horse trails because the horses tear them up. And you know, you can hike on a tore up horse trail, but biking on it is difficult. Anyways, on we go. Like and subscribe. Follow along as we continue to put the Priority Bruzer to the paces. I didn't want to tell him, but I'm not sure I'm a good enough cyclist to test this bike out. But it's certainly capable of doing what I'm doing. On we go. Man, the things I do to bring y'all this quality content. So I biked through this creek that I just crossed twice. I came over, videoing as I came this way, and then I went back to get the camera. The water was deeper than I thought, so I'd already had my feet wet. So I walked the camera out, placed it down, and what I thought would be a cool shot, and then started biking back over. And I guess my front tire hit a big rock at the same time that I lost traction, and my momentum disappeared. Everything seems okay. I did get my one of my mics wet, but it came on, so maybe no harm, no foul. I'm soaking wet. That may or may not cause a problem. Anyways, I believe I'm about to hike up this dang ridge with this bike. On we go. Hard to keep these lenses clean. Yikes. Man, I hope I'm going the right way and I ain't gotta come back up this. Ooh, I gotta be careful. I'll go over the bars on this. Certainly ain't doing that on 38mm tires. Weeds. My legs are gassed. It is lunchtime. I keep getting spider webs to the face. Wrong turn. I don't think I've ever had so many wrong turns. I do not like this app. This is better. Thought it was better. I can't believe I made it up that. This section is low. This is part of the Sheltowee Trace trail. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sheltowee Trace trail, but it's kind of like the Appalachian Trail, but considerably shorter, and it runs from up in Kentucky down to Tennessee. It's like 350 miles long. Back before I got into biking, I backpacked the Sheltowee Trace on something they call the Sheltowee Trace Hiker Challenge, which is basically section hiking the Sheltowee for a year. Section hike, yeah. So you do a section 30 to 50 miles, I think, once a month until you get it all done. And it's kind of the reason that I started biking, because at the end of it, I had banged up my knee and I just kind of ignored it and I kept hiking. And then I started biking as I was doing physical therapy on my knee, realized I like it more. We are, I guess, deep into type 2 fun. Well, it's certainly type 2 fun. I'm still enjoying it, and I'll feel accomplished when I'm done. It takes a bit to like understand why you're moving so slow out here. Like in my head, I want to do 80 to 100 miles a day, which is what I was doing on the road. And you can't do that out here. But like mentally, it's like a thing. It's a mental block. Anyways, Thanks for listening to me blab. Thanks for following along. Thanks for watching. On we go. Well, their little path kicks off to the left over here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I spent the last 2.5 hours pushing this bike 4 miles. I don't know who calls this a rideable trail. Maybe someone else can ride it, but I was barely able to push it, much less ride it. The bugs out here are real bad too. I'll be honest, I don't like this biking on a hiking trail. That's what this is. This is a Sheltowee Trace. This is a backpacking trail. No part of this has been a part that you should be biking on. At least not me. I couldn't do the stuff that I was doing today on a dang e-bike even. Anyways, on we go. Oh, heck no. Alright, I made it to this Forest Service road. It's 5:43. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna try to get to Cherritt Creek Lodge, maybe it's called. I don't remember, and I'm too tired to look. I need to get somewhere where I can actually, even if it's just getting in the creek and wash off, I need to wash off. On we go. Horses down here chewing it up. That was absolutely brutal. Too late to show camp again. I found a place to camp near some water, so I at least got water this time. Pretty exhausted. Yesterday I did 35 miles in 9 hours. Today I did 40 in 12 hours. Maybe more hours, that is. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. Some kind of bird. Well, I am up and moving slowly. About the only thing left today is 20 miles, 20 to 25 miles, with I think 15 of that being single track. I was pretty exhausted when I came into camp. And at least when I laid down, I was like, I'm going to bounce in the morning, take a shortcut back to the car and get out of here. Dang water crossing right off the bat this morning. Yeah, this one's got a concrete slab down. A little deeper than I thought. Now it's actually sprinkling, so this morning when I woke up, I was all motivated to finish and hit this single track. Supposed to be like a nice single track, I don't know, but I have my doubts. But now it's sprinkling, and for one, you shouldn't be on mountain bike trails when it's wet, and two, I can only imagine how much more difficult it was going to be if it's wet. So I'm going to get to the top of the ridge, see if I can't figure out what the weather is, go from there. Well, it's officially raining, and I'm pushing this bike up this giant hill. I don't know what the grade is, but it's steep. When I get to the top of the ridge, it's official. I'm going to find the shortest way back to the car. I am not doing any single track in the rain. Pretty sure you're not supposed to be on the rain, like on mountain bike trails when it's wet. Tears them up, ruts them up. Which is a fine excuse for calling it a day. Well, according to this sign, I have 4.2 miles back to the Bandy Creek campground. Now, if I was doing the whole loop, I'd keep going straight here. I'd have about 20 miles. But, you know, it might not rain anymore. I don't know. It's sprinkling right now, but earlier it rained pretty good. I put on dry shorts. You know, I put on dry clothes and I'm freaking soaked again. But right now the sky looks blue and partially cloudy, but it looks darker that direction. Nonetheless, I'm exhausted. I'm bouncing out of here. I don't remember what this trail looks like. I hope it doesn't go down and up the ridge again. From Charrett Creek, I don't know, the lodge. From where I camped at, it was extremely steep and I had to push the bike up the hill. And it's so steep that like my feet sliding in the gravel as I'm pushing is horrible. Yeah, it's starting to pick up again, the rain is. I don't know if you can hear it. It's not big enough drops for you to see it. On we go. Really hoping to avoid that. Well, I'm almost back to the car, and I'm exhausted. Full on rain at this point, but that's okay. Well, I guess I made it back to my car. It is downright raining at this point. I was like a mile from my car, and a feller pulled up who's with the local bike group and gave me a ride the last mile. I chatted with him. He's actually involved in designing this trail, and apparently the parts that I did were the worst parts that there are. And he said back when they routed this, he told them not to route that, like not to route the way they routed it. And they did anyways, and here I am. So this morning I woke up, I intended on doing the other 20 miles of this trail, even though I was wore out. But then by the time I got to the top of the ridge, it started raining, and I'm like, well, that does it, I'm out. And I made my way back to the car. So the best part of the trail is the part that I missed. Craziness. I don't know if you can see this. I ended up in a lot of sand all over the belt. Everything worked fine, no issues. More about this bike later. I need to change and get out of here. I'm exhausted. I am done and heading home. I am quite exhausted and feel quite brutalized. I really need to get in better shape and lose some weight. Like, I got 20 pounds of excess body weight I can get rid of. And that would have to make climbing up these hills easier, right? Anyways, so as you've obviously figured out by now, I came out to try out the Priority Bruzer. All this was extremely impromptu. A week ago today, I had no idea I was getting this bike. Wednesday, they contacted me. Friday, the bike was delivered. And Sunday, I left to do this route. Now, the reason I chose this route is I was scrolling through bike packing routes, trying to find something that this bike should be doing and not a rail trail or an asphalt path somewhere. This is an adventure bike, and it doesn't want to be on the asphalt. Can you ride it on the asphalt? Yes, you can. But that's not where it wants to be. This is an adventure bike. We're going everywhere. So I wanted to test it out. I found this route. It's called the No Business Loop route. In Tennessee and Kentucky, along the Cumberland Plateau, bouncing on and off the Sheltowee Trace, which is a backpacking trail. And frankly, you shouldn't be on it on a bike. But they named it the No Business Loop because they was out on gravel bikes. And at some point in time, someone said, we've got no business being out here on gravel bikes, and we should all just ride mountain bikes. So, to me, it sounded like the perfect place to go test out this adventure bike. And that's what I did. And it didn't take long for me to realize I've got no business on this route. Alright, so the bike did great. I really don't have any complaints about the bike. Everything worked really well. I thought the grip shifting would bug me. It actually works really well, and I can't imagine having a trigger shifter with this bike. So let's say you're in the 10th speed. You can shift down to 0 all in one turn without having to click over and over and over and over while pedaling to get down to 0. You also can shift without pedaling at all. Works really good. It's probably going to feel sluggish on asphalt because it has 2.6 inch tires. They're massive. And I have to assume the 2.6 inch tires helped me get down the stupid horse paths that I ended up finding myself on. A lot of this trail was just eat up. Even walking up the trail was difficult. And I was surprised with how much I was able to pedal through. I got so comfortable biking through the creeks that I ended up falling over because I almost just forgot that I was pedaling through a creek. And I'd already pedaled through the creek twice before I fell over while getting video, which you guys will see. Luckily, the camera was aimed in the right direction. So, I'm trying to be cautious and not be biased because, like, it's exciting that someone sent me a bike. Like that's a big deal for me. It's massive. Massive. But it's hard to find any faults with the bike. It comes with crappy grips. But who doesn't replace their grips when they buy a bike? Not one bike that I own still has the factory grips on it. So that's easy to ignore. It also has cheap pedals, kinda. They work perfectly fine, but they're not the best pedals. But I've got 4 other bikes and not one bike came with pedals. This bike legitimately out of the box is ready to ride, which is a big deal. It also comes with a kickstand. I love my kickstands. None of my bikes came with a kickstand. You can take it off if you want. I know you guys hate kickstands, but I like kickstands. Especially with me filming, like I'm constantly getting off the bike. I don't want to lay it down. So I'm giving the Priority Bruzer a big thumbs up. I like it. Now I've had other people ask what am I going to do with my other bikes? So I started biking on an old mountain bike. Well, it's old to me, I guess. I started biking on a Trek Marlin Gary Fisher from 2008 or 2009. I don't remember the date. And that's what I did my first couple trips on. And frankly, I'm going to keep it because there's no value in selling it. It's worth more just sitting where it's at, even if I don't ride it. Maybe someone else will. Then I bought a Trek 520, which is a touring bike. I'm still going to ride it. That is a touring bike made for the road. This bike doesn't replace that. It adds to it. Now, you could ride this bike on the road. There's no reason you can't. You could even get smaller tires and probably wouldn't feel nearly as sluggish with smaller tires on it. But that's not what it's for. It's an adventure bike. I'm going to use this bike for adventuring. Well, last year I bought a new mountain bike and I started using it for bike packing. It has mounts for like the rear rack and whatnot, but it has shock forks. And I've discovered that I don't really need the shock fork for what I'm doing, and it just makes it difficult to pack weight on the fork. So even if you get around the lack of mounting points, you got to be careful with weight on the shocks. So I was already thinking a rigid fork would be better for what I do. This thing has mounting points all over it. They also sent me a frame bag which takes up the entire space of the bike frame and made it a really good spot to put all my batteries. So instead of having my batteries in the panniers, they're just in the frame bag, which is probably good for like loadout or whatever, like balancing. I know I'm blabbing, so if you've watched this, thanks. I'm probably not done blabbing. I just bought a road bike because I wanted to try to ride in groups and try to force myself to ride more. I need to become a stronger cyclist because I'm wore out. I'm wondering how these dudes are biking like 150 miles on the Divide Trail, like 150 miles a day. That's insane. Anyways, so I did this route. I ended up cutting 20 miles of the route out because of the rain. You should not be on bike packing trails in the rain. You tear trails up when they're wet. I ended up on the wrong trail heading back to my car, and it was literally just sand, deep sand that I had to push the bike through. It got all over everything. And I made it out in the road, and I was pushing it up some hill, not because I couldn't ride up it normally, but because I was exhausted, so I was pushing. I was only about a mile from my car, and Joe, one of the local mountain bike guys, pulled up and said, "It looks like this is a bike packing trip gone wrong." And he gave me a ride the other mile to my car. Normally I'd have been like, "Nah, I'm good, it's only a mile," but I was exhausted. So I really appreciate the ride. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I guess at this point, this is my adventure bike for off-road stuff. That's how I'm looking at it. And I will continue to ride my other bikes. Like, my mountain bike will now be just a mountain bike. I will mountain bike on it, and I won't bring it on bike packing trips again. Anyways, I'm about to get on the interstate, and I'm passing up food. I'm going to stop and eat. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Until next time, follow along. Well, it's time for bike maintenance. This is caked on sand. And I bet if this was all over my chain and derailleur, it would cause me problems.